Think about walking into a physical bank. You have the bright, open lobby where anyone can walk in to talk to a teller. But way in the back, behind thick steel doors, sits the vault, a restricted space where the actual money is kept safe. When an institution moves entirely online, they have to recreate that same level of security. They need to build a digital version of that steel vault to keep user data away from the open internet. These are blueprints for one of those digital fortresses. At first glance, it's a chaotic web of arrows and technical shorthand. If you look at the label in the top center, you see this is a real architectural map for a bank's digital infrastructure. While it looks like a mess of scribbles, this is actually a structured floor plan. Once you know the metaphor, every single arrow on this board starts to make sense. To understand the map, we have to start at the very outer edge of the property line. Notice this massive outer box containing almost everything on the board. This is labeled the VPC. Think of this as the perimeter fence that surrounds the entire bank property. Everything inside this fence is private property. The bank has total control over who is allowed to enter and where they are allowed to go once they're inside. Now, look at the entry point on the far left. This is labeled the IGW, or Internet Gateway. The gateway is the bank's front door. It's the single, highly monitored entrance where public traffic from the street is allowed to step off the sidewalk and onto the private property. Once a customer walks through those front doors, they need a place to go. Just past the gateway, we find the first set of rooms, labeled here as Pub Sub 1A. That sub stands for subnet. A subnet is just a walled-off room within the larger bank building. These specific public subnets act as the customer lobby. They house the web servers that function like digital tellers, ready to greet visitors and handle their requests. As you can see, when a request comes in from the internet, it enters the gateway and stops right there in the lobby. It isn't allowed to wander any deeper into the building. This setup allows the bank to serve millions of customers simultaneously while keeping them far away from any sensitive information. This leads us to the most important part of the map, the location of the actual money and the private account records. Look at the center bottom. Here is the private subnet and MySQL database, the master ledger for all balances. Notice the lack of lines connecting the internet gateway to this database. There's no direct path from the street to the vault. This isolation is why we call it a private subnet. It is a digital vault buried deep in the basement, completely unreachable from the public front door. If a customer needs their balance, they ask the teller in the public lobby. Only that teller has the security clearance to send a message back to the vault, retrieve the data, and bring it back to the customer. By creating this physical and logical gap, the bank ensures that even if someone manages to cause trouble in the public lobby, the vault remains untouched. But if the vault is this isolated, how do the bank's own IT staff get inside to perform maintenance or updates? To handle this, the architect added secondary structures in the bottom left, a VPN, which acts as a secure private tunnel, and a bastion host. Think of the bastion host as an armored employee checkpoint. It's a heavily guarded side door that lets staff bypass the customer lobby to reach the back rooms directly. Even the employees aren't allowed to use the standard entrances. They must use these dedicated, monitored tunnels to ensure every single movement near the vault is tracked. Now, let's look at the full diagram one more time, without any of our highlights. Take a moment to find the front door on the left, the customer lobby in the middle, and the vault tucked away at the bottom. The initial feeling of confusion has been replaced by a clear view of a defensive floor plan. You're looking at the logic that keeps digital systems running. This map shows us the reality of the cloud. It is a highly structured, meticulously engineered digital fortress, built to keep our information secure every time we log in.